Have you ever felt that there's more to reality than what your eyes can see? That behind the veil of the ordinary world, another dimension, vast, luminous, and alive, is quietly pulsing, waiting to be perceived? For thousands of years, mystics, shamans, and initiates of the ancient world claimed that every human being possesses a gateway, a third eye, capable of perceiving that hidden realm. A sacred organ of vision not bound by flesh, but by spirit. And yet, in our modern age, this gateway, the pineal gland, has been dismissed, dulled, and deliberately obscured. But what if that wasn't by accident? What if the most profound spiritual technology known to humanity has been intentionally suppressed? The pineal gland is no ordinary piece of biology, buried deep within the center of your brain, exactly where ancient texts describe the seat of the soul. This tiny, pine-cone-shaped organ has fascinated seekers for millennia. From the Egyptian Eye of Horus, to Hindu depictions of the Ajna chakra, to the esoteric teachings of the Hermetic tradition, all point toward one truth. The pineal gland is the bridge between the physical and the divine. Yet the more you study its functions, the stranger the story becomes. It produces DMT, the same molecule associated with near-death experiences and mystical visions. It responds to light, geometry, and sound frequencies. And according to ancient initiates, when awakened, it reveals the architecture of reality itself. So why does the modern world ignore it? Why are we never taught to activate it, to nurture it, to see through it? In this video, we'll dive into the secret history and spiritual mechanics of the pineal gland. What ancient civilizations knew, what modern science has forgotten, and what forces might prefer to keep you in the dark. By the end, you'll see why the ancients guarded this knowledge as sacred, and why awakening your inner vision might just be the most revolutionary act of all. To truly grasp the mystery of the pineal gland, we must journey backward, beyond science, beyond dogma, into the forgotten temples of ancient knowledge. In the sacred lands of Kemet, what we now call Egypt, the Eye of Horus was not merely a symbol of protection. It was a map of divine perception. When examined closely, its curves and lines align perfectly with the anatomy of the human brain, and at its core, the unmistakable shape of the pineal gland. The ancients were not guessing. They were describing the seat of illumination itself. In their teachings, Horus represented the awakened consciousness, the light within the human that perceives truth beyond illusion. The Eye of Horus, then, was the awakened pineal, the eye that sees the unseen. Travel further east, and the same truth emerges again under different names. In India, the sages of the Vedic tradition called it the Ajna chakra, the third eye, the center of inner vision and intuition. It was said that when this energy center opens, duality collapses. You cease to see the world through the veil of separation and begin to perceive the unity of all existence. The Taoists of ancient China called it Niwan Palace, the spiritual crown that links mortal perception to immortal awareness. The Mayan priests, the Greek philosophers, and even early Christian mystics spoke of this hidden faculty, the inner eye of the soul. The great philosopher René Descartes famously declared the pineal gland to be the seat of the soul. But perhaps even Descartes did not fully grasp that he was echoing something much older, the Hermetic principle that the human body is a mirror of the cosmos, and within it lies a divine instrument of knowing. Over time, however, the understanding of this third eye began to vanish. As materialism replaced mysticism, the pineal gland, once revered as the organ of divine communion, became reduced to a mere curiosity of biology. The ancient symbol of enlightenment was transformed into a forgotten relic of superstition. But, in esoteric circles, the teaching never truly disappeared. Hidden schools of mystery, the alchemists, the Rosicrucians, the Theosophists, preserved whispers of the secret. They knew that to awaken the pineal gland was to transmute the human being into the divine human. And they also knew something far more controversial, that this inner sight has been deliberately clouded, suppressed by forces that benefit from humanity's spiritual blindness. Because a population that sees, that truly perceives reality beyond illusion, cannot be controlled. This is where the mystery deepens. How does a biological gland become a spiritual eye? What ancient science understood this? And what has been done, chemically, energetically, and psychologically, to keep it closed? In the next section, we'll begin peeling back those layers, revealing the mechanisms of both awakening and suppression, and why reclaiming this lost power may be the key to humanity's evolution. The story of the pineal gland is not just about biology, it's about the boundary between matter and spirit. Science tells us it's a small endocrine gland, about the size of a grain of rice, tucked between the two hemispheres of the brain. But the ancients called it something far more profound, the lamp of the soul. Here's where things become fascinating. Modern research reveals that the pineal gland contains photoreceptor cells, cells that respond to light, just like the retina in your eyes. It's as if nature placed a hidden eye inside your head, one that sees not the physical world, but the energetic one. This inner eye produces melatonin, which regulates your sleep and circadian rhythm. But under certain conditions, deep meditation, near-death experiences, or even specific breathing techniques, the gland is believed to release dimethyltryptamine, DMT, the so-called spirit molecule. DMT is known for inducing powerful mystical visions, encounters with light, geometry, entities, or realms beyond comprehension. Is it possible then that the pineal gland is the physical key to transcendent experience, a literal bridge between dimensions? Ancient civilizations seem to know this long before microscopes existed. They carved pine cone symbols everywhere, in Egyptian temples, on Sumerian tablets, in Greek art, and even in Vatican architecture. Why pine cones? Because the pineal gland mirrors their spiral form, a natural expression of sacred geometry, representing awakening, fertility, and the unfolding of consciousness. In Hindu and Buddhist traditions, this spiral energy was known as Kundalini, the serpent power that rises through the spine to open the third eye. The serpent itself, often depicted coiled around staffs or divine beings, is not evil, as later doctrines claimed. It represents life force energy, pure consciousness in motion. But here's the deeper mystery, one that borders on conspiracy and revelation. In many modern societies, something has quietly worked to deactivate this spiritual organ. Through fluoride, heavy metals, processed foods, artificial light, and constant mental distraction, the pineal gland becomes calcified, hardened, losing its sensitivity to subtle frequencies. It's as if humanity's collective third eye has been turned to stone. Ask yourself, who benefits when the population can no longer see? When the sacred gateway to higher awareness becomes biologically and energetically shut? Ancient mystery schools taught that awakening the pineal gland was not a casual event. It was initiation. One had to purify the body, silence the mind, and balance the inner currents of energy. Only then could the inner eye open, revealing the true architecture of creation. This wasn't superstition. It was sacred science. The alchemists of old called this process the great work, the transmutation of lead into gold, ignorance into illumination. The pineal gland was the philosopher's lamp, the instrument through which divine light could be perceived and integrated into human consciousness. And that light, they said, was the real treasure hidden in all spiritual traditions. But in our time, that treasure has been buried under layers of disinformation, skepticism, and fear. The very idea of higher perception is mocked, even demonized. Yet quietly, countless seekers are reawakening it, through meditation, sound, fasting, and vibrational attunement. In the next section, we'll go even deeper, beyond science and into the realm of the unseen. We'll explore how ancient mystics described the pineal gland as a cosmic receiver, an antenna tuned to the frequencies of the divine, and why its awakening marks the rebirth of the true human being. Imagine for a moment that your mind is not a container for thoughts, but an instrument of perception. Every vibration, every color, every sound you experience passes through the filters of the brain. But when the pineal gland awakens, those filters dissolve. You begin to perceive the subtle web that underlies all things, the living geometry that connects consciousness and creation. This is what ancient mystics meant when they spoke of the eye of God within man. The pineal gland is that eye, the bridge between the finite and the infinite. When fully activated, the pineal gland is said to generate a radiant field of light, producing patterns of sacred geometry, the same forms found in nature, in galaxies, in atoms, and even in your DNA. The ancients called this the flower of life. Modern mystics describe it as the Merkaba field, the light body that links us to higher planes of existence. But what is actually happening? Some esoteric traditions explain that when the pineal gland vibrates at certain frequencies, through sound, breath, or meditation, it begins to resonate with the harmonic structure of the universe. Your consciousness expands beyond the limits of the body. You are no longer a witness of the cosmos. You become one with it. In Hermetic philosophy, this moment was the rebirth of the sun within the human being, illumination from within. To the Egyptians, it was the resurrection of Osiris. To the Buddhists, it was enlightenment. And to the alchemists, it was the completion of the great work, the transformation of base matter, human ignorance, into spiritual gold, divine awareness. But this power has always frightened those who rule through control, because a person who sees through illusion cannot be manipulated. They no longer react to fear, propaganda, or dogma. They begin to live from inner knowing, from the direct perception of truth. That's why, throughout history, systems have arisen that keep humanity's inner sight dimmed. Religions turned mystical experience into doctrine. Education replaced intuition with information. Technology distracted awareness outward instead of inward. And substances, both chemical and energetic, were introduced to dull the body's spiritual sensitivity. Yet the pineal gland cannot truly be destroyed, only forgotten. Deep inside you, that divine spark still waits. It whispers through dreams, synchronicities, and sudden moments of insight, reminding you that you are more than a body of flesh and bone. You are a node in the symphony of creation, and the pineal gland is your instrument to hear it. In ancient mystery schools, initiates underwent years of training to activate this inner light. They fasted, meditated, and practiced sacred breathwork. They used sound, particularly harmonic chants and crystal resonance, to stimulate the pineal's frequencies. And when the inner vision finally opened, they described an overwhelming realization that everything is light, condensed, vibrating, and self-aware. To awaken the pineal gland, then, is not about escaping reality. It's about seeing reality as it truly is. In the next section, we'll move from the mystical to the practical. You'll learn the ancient techniques and modern methods to purify, activate, and align your pineal energy, so you can begin perceiving the world through the eye of spirit. You don't have to retreat to a mountain monastery or spend years in silence to awaken your pineal gland. The truth is, this sacred center is already alive within you. What it needs is purification, activation, and alignment. Let's begin with purification. The pineal gland, like a crystal receiver, cannot pick up subtle frequencies if it's coated in static. Physical toxins, fluoride, processed sugars, heavy metals, build up around the gland, creating what mystics call energetic blindness. Start by cleansing the body. Drink pure, mineral-rich water. Eat living foods, fruits, seeds, herbs that nourish rather than numb. Cilantro, chlorella, and spirulina are known to help decalcify the gland. Next comes energetic purification. Silence is medicine. Disconnect from constant noise, the endless scrolling, the digital chatter, and listen to the rhythm of your own breath. The pineal thrives in stillness and darkness. Spend moments each day with eyes closed, in quiet, breathing deeply. In that darkness, light will begin to bloom behind your forehead. Now, the activation. Ancient practices reveal that sound and breath are the keys. Chanting sacred tones, especially creates a vibrational resonance in the skull that gently stimulates the pineal. Try this simple exercise. Sit upright, spine straight. Inhale deeply through the nose. As you exhale, hum letting the sound vibrate behind your eyes. Do this for 7 breaths. You'll feel the vibration. That's the awakening current. Combine this with focused visualization. Imagine a sphere of indigo light between your eyebrows, spinning slowly, expanding with every breath. This visualization aligns the mind with the frequency of intuition, the same frequency that the pineal resonates with. Another powerful technique is sun gazing, practiced safely at sunrise or sunset. The gentle photons of the sun nourish the pineal directly through the eyes, activating its light-sensitive cells. Done with reverence, this is the modern echo of ancient solar initiation. And perhaps the most important practice of all, intentional living. Everything you see, hear, and consume shapes the vibration of your consciousness. Keep your environment aligned with clarity, beauty, and truth. Your third eye doesn't just open during meditation. It opens in every moment you choose awareness over distraction, peace over chaos, truth over illusion. As you continue these practices, you'll begin to notice subtle shifts, deeper intuition, vivid dreams, synchronicities that feel like whispers from another realm. These are signs that the inner eye is remembering how to see. The path of awakening is not about escaping the world. It's about seeing it as the sacred dream it truly is. In the next and final section, we'll bring all of this together, exploring what it means to live as an awakened being in a world still asleep, and how reclaiming the power of the pineal gland is the first step toward reclaiming the destiny of humanity itself. In the end, the mystery of the pineal gland is not just about a hidden organ inside your brain. It's about the forgotten light within humanity. For thousands of years, sages, mystics, and philosophers have whispered the same truth in different tongues, that the divine spark lies not above the heavens, but within us. When your pineal gland awakens, you begin to remember. You remember that you are not a fragment lost in the dark, but a beam of consciousness exploring itself through form. You begin to see the world not as chaos, but as code. Every event, every person, every challenge is a reflection of your vibration, an echo in the hologram of reality. And perhaps this is why this knowledge was hidden. Because when humanity realizes that its inner sight can pierce illusion, control collapses. The game changes. The awakened human no longer lives in fear or blind obedience. They become a creator, a conscious architect of their destiny. The ancients called this the resurrection of light. Egyptians saw it as the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye restored after fragmentation. The mystics of the East called it Bodhi, the flowering of awareness. And modern seekers like you are rediscovering that this same light has never truly left. It was simply veiled, waiting to be seen again. So let this not just be information. Let it be initiation. The pineal gland is not something to worship, but something to remember. Close your eyes tonight and feel that silent pulse between your brows, that gentle hum of awareness that has always been there. That is the eye through which the universe sees itself. The question is, will you dare to open it fully? Because when you do, the illusion of separation dissolves, and you awaken to the greatest truth of all, that you were never just observing the light. You are the light.